on The Breakfast Show, 7:30, Monday morning, the 11th of January. Let's get you up to date with everything. Here's Lindsay Brown with the latest.
Vaccination sites open in England, and there's been a big shock exit in the FA Cup.
Newsbeat.
7 mass vaccination centres offering the coronavirus jab are opening in England this morning.
Playing here on the One Extra Breakfast Show this Monday morning. Still to come, I've got music on the way from IQ Plus. We head into One Word Weekend, but it's 7:30. Lindsay Brown has One Extra news beat.
One Extra.
Vaccination sites open in England, and there's been a big shock exit in the FA Cup.
Newsbeat.
7 mass vaccination centres offering the coronavirus jab are opening in England this morning. The
friends you know and love who are on their own at the moment, people who are shielding. Let's spread a little bit of sunshine. Send us your messages. We'll pass them on. 882921. Also on the way, Katie Thistleton talking about the BBC Bite Size Daily and the marvel that is Joe Wick. Still to come. This is Radio 2 on the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker and on 88 to 91 FM.
BBC News at 8 o'clock on Monday, the 11th of January. Good morning, this is Adam Porter. The government is hoping 7 mass vaccination centres opening this morning can help it inoculate 15 million people by the middle of next month.
On the way, we've got Blur, we've got Jennifer Lopez, we've got Chesney Hawkes, Joe Wick's coming on the show later as well. Time for the headlines now, on to with Adam.
BBC News at 7:30. Thousands more people will receive a COVID-19 vaccine this week.
2 of the moons of Uranus. 90 to 93 FM on digital radio, online and BBC Sounds. You're listening to Breakfast on BBC Radio 3.
BBC News at 8 o'clock on Monday, the 11th of January. Good morning, this is Adam Porter. The government is hoping 7 mass vaccination centres opening this morning can help it inoculate 15 million people by the middle of next month.
In the next hour of the programme, in fact at 8:10, we will be talking to Professor Chris Whitty, the Chief Medical Officer for England, about, all the matters before us.
You're listening to Today with Justin Webb and Martha Carney. It's 8 o'clock on Monday, the 11th of January. The headlines. The vaccination programme moves up a gear today with the opening of 7 big centres around England. Ministers have discussed ways of enforcing lockdown measures more strictly, including in shops and workplaces. The Democrats say that the US Vice President should remove Donald Trump from power this week, or they'll begin the process of impeachment. The BBC News is read by Susan Ray.
The first 7 mass vaccination centres are opening in England this morning as the government seeks to meet its target of inoculating 15 million people by the middle of next month.
You're listening to Today on Radio 4. Martha Carney and Justin Webb. The time just coming up to 8:30. Let's have a summary of the news from Susan Ray.
England's Chief Medical Officer, Professor Chris Whitty, has said the UK is now at the worst point of the coronavirus epidemic.
Watch this match, but who would you like Crawley to be up against?
Yeah, that's the really tough thing, isn't it? I think if fans could get into the ground, I would say, one of your big teams like your Chelseas, your Manchester Cities, those kind of clubs. But I know it's a kind of a divided opinion, but I personally would probably go for a smaller club. And then you can get a bit further, and then hopefully lockdown restrictions might ease a little bit, that you can get a bigger club later on. I don't know, maybe I'm being hopeful.
Well, I've got to be hopeful. Thanks very much. Enjoy the moment. Jonathan Chappell, fan of Crawley Town, co-host of the Straight Red podcast. 5 Breakfast, more to come after the news.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
BBC News at 7 o'clock on Monday, the 11th of January. Good morning, this is Adam Porter. 7 mass coronavirus vaccine centres are opening this morning and will operate for 12 hours a day.
They're going to work. Should they be going to work? Thank you for all of those. We will try and perhaps put some of that to Chris Whitty later on.
Good morning. It's 5 Live Breakfast at 7:31.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
7 mass vaccination centres will open in England this morning as part of the government's push to speed up its coronavirus inoculation programme.
So stick with us on 6 Music. The time's 8:30 right now. Let's catch up with the headlines.
6 Music.
This is BBC Radio 6 Music.
With the latest BBC News, this is Anthony Birchley. England's chief medical officer has warned that the next few weeks are expected to be the worst of the pandemic so far for the NHS.
Players to go coming up straight after this. It is time for the views with Lindsay Brown.
Asian Network. Vaccination sites open in England, and there was a big shock exit in the FA Cup.
Newsbeat.
7 mass vaccination centres offering the coronavirus jab are opening in England this morning. The government wants every adult in the UK vaccinated by autumn.
And in an hour, Outlook with Joe Fidgen.
Today, what really happened when an exhausted Australian mum posted a video of her son crying because of bullies, and it went viral. And a Hungarian chess player who took a gambit to become one of the first female grandmasters.
That's in an hour. The newsroom is next on the BBC World Service, the world's radio station.
BBC World Service. It's 11 o'clock GMT. This is Oliver Conway with the newsroom. China condemns the decision by the US Secretary of State to lift restrictions on official contacts with Taiwan.
For Pompeo and his cohorts, they need to clearly grasp the tide of history. Stop manipulating the Taiwan question.
But why is China so angry? Also on the newsroom, we'll have the latest from Indonesia.
I'm Kalistasha Wijaya. I'm at the scene of the plane crash in Jakarta, and I have an update about the search of the plane black boxes.
After the invasion of Congress, President Trump's golf course will no longer be allowed to host the US PGA Championship next year. The social media app Parler, popular with supporters of President Trump, has been removed from the internet. And
armed groups control the community. They set the rules, and we have to do what they say.
The rise in child soldiers in Colombia. First, our top stories.
BBC News. Hello, this is Jerry Smith. China has condemned a decision by the United States to lift long-standing restrictions on official contacts with Taiwan.
We speak to plant experts about the power of green and also head to Milan to hear how a large urban city is transforming itself with more natural spaces. That's Crowd Science on the BBC World Service next.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. A decision by the United States to remove long-standing restrictions on official contacts with Taiwan has been angrily condemned by China.
Oh, what a fabulous song!
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
play BBC Radio Derby,
and on your radio.
The sound of where we live is
BBC Radio Derby.
With your 7 o'clock news, Wesley Mallon.
The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, has defended Derbyshire Police's decision to fine 2 women for travelling 5 miles to a Derbyshire reservoir for a walk.
Carrot cake, make me smile. Come up and see me. With your 7:30 headlines, Wesley Mallon.
The 2 women have described how they were surrounded by police and fined after separately driving 5 miles for a walk together at a Derbyshire beauty spot.
As well today, Laurent Dupre, thank you very much for talking to us here on BBC Radio Wales Breakfast. It's 7 o'clock.
on FM,
digital radio,
your smart speaker,
and on BBC Sounds.
This is BBC Radio Wales.
Good morning, everyone. It's Monday. It's 7 o'clock. It's the 11th of January. New start to a new week. You're listening to me, Claire Summers, here on BBC Radio Wales Breakfast. A COVID vaccination plan which will set out a series of milestones for when people in Wales will be offered the jab will be published by the Welsh Government today. Coming up, we'll hear from the care home boss who says everyone in one of his homes has now had their first dose. And we'll also be joined by the Royal Pharmaceutical Society to find out how pharmacists in Wales feel the rollout is going. All of that on the way. First, Tom is here with the day's news.
Claire, details will be published today of how people in Wales will be offered a coronavirus vaccine in the months ahead.
And that video, I'm just having a look now, has actually been viewed over 3 million times. Extraordinary stuff. 7:30. Good morning. If you've just joined us, really good to have you with us this Monday morning. Let's bring you up to date with everything that is happening. Tom has the headlines.
Thanks, Claire. We'll get details today of when people in Wales can expect to be offered a coronavirus vaccine, as the Health Minister is going to outline the Welsh Government's COVID vaccination plan.
I ryw raddau, falle bod yna'n bosibiliaeth, ond bys hwnna'n achosi gymaint o broblem neu pobl sy'n trefnu gemau a'i chalen o rygbi gan fod gymaint o bethau i ddigwydd. Un beth sydd yn amhosib yw symud y gemau i'r haf gan fod taith y llewod i De Affrica, ond yr un pryd mae'n amher droson ni hefyd, so falle bod modd symud hynna yn hwyrach ymlaen yn eleni ac yn y cynnal y chwilgladd yn yr haf.
Wel, gawn ni weld be fydd yn cael ei ddeud draw yn y cyfarfodydd yna heddiw. Diolch yn fawr chi, Illtyd, am ymuno ni bore yma o Baris. Illtyd Dafydd, newyddiadurwr chwaraeon.
Mae'n 8 o'r gloch, dyma fri benawdau'r post cynta. A ddewyd gan y gweinidog iechyd Vaughan Gething y bydd yr rhaglen frechu yng Nghymru yn cynyddu'n sylweddol o'r wythnos ma ymlaen.
Cymdeithas y swyddogion carchar yn galw ar ilysoedd gau yn dilyn nifer o achosion o Covid-19 yng Ngharchar Caerdydd.
Hefyd, cyn hanner awr wedi 8.
We have got a message for you all from your Hungarian friends in Budapest.
Dewch i adeiladu Bontydd. Byddwn ni'n clywed am y berthynas agos rhwng Sir Drefaldwyn a Hwngari.
Ond i ddechrau'r awr ola yma, dyma'r bwletin gan Elliw.
Bore da i chi. Mae yna addewid y bydd yr rhaglen frechu yng Nghymru yn cymryd cam sylweddol ymlaen o'r wythnos yma.
Mae bron a bod yn hanner awr 7, ac felly dyma'r bwletin diweddara gan Elliw Ai.
Bore da i chi. Mi fydd gweinidog iechyd Cymru Vaughan Gething yn cyhoeddi cynllun brechu Llywodraeth Cymru heddiw gan osod nifer o gerrig milltir penodol o ran pryd mae disgwyl i bobl dderbyn y brechiad.
We'll have to leave things there, but thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning, Tracy Gilbert from the Shop Workers Union, USDO.
On digital radio,
FM,
your smart speaker,
and BBC Sounds.
BBC Radio Scotland.
7 o'clock is the time, Monday morning, the 11th of January. You're listening to Good Morning Scotland with Gary Robertson
and Laura Maxwell. The mass community rollout of the Scottish Government's COVID immunisation programme starts this morning. We'll look at the logistics and expectations of this massive undertaking.
Also coming up, with the country back in lockdown, should relatives of care home residents have their visiting rights set down in law? We'll speak to one woman who's lobbying for that very thing.
And as schools revert to home tuition, BBC Scotland has found large disparities in local authorities' plans for remote learning. We'll hear from Lindsay Patterson, who's Professor of Education Policy at Edinburgh University.
Right now, the latest BBC news. Home learning starts again today for the majority of pupils across Scotland. Only the children of key workers will be able to attend school and nursery during this new lockdown phase. You're listening to Monday Morning's Good Morning Scotland with Laura Maxwell and Gary Robertson. As ever, we're here until 9 o'clock. But right now, the time is 7:30.
Let's get the very latest BBC news. Learning from home will begin again for pupils across Scotland this morning. Most will get work to complete from their house, while the children of key workers and vulnerable young people will still be able to attend school or nursery.
Mi'n dochas, militain gyda'r domor ystyn hyn ag ysgype arish na matchna. Hashe vergeet ik BBC Radio na Gàidheal is gejerf bi a vatting colraven account a hi vinachin en tashigata shaka gerhunters en nerken la le dolangi modestan.
Tapalat in Elaine. Has het hoosige is skeulige vanachkoch Oxford, na sarsanje an an alape, vachoret miele warach a du.
And I know I'm biased because I'm her granddaughter and I'm related and I'm living with her and I love her. But there's something magical within her spirit. There's something, you know, even before all this happened, and people who come to visit, you know, if you came in with worries, the minute you'd step in, it nearly disappeared. You nearly go to yourself, what was wrong with me? And so there is, of course, she's been here for so long.
Well, that's the other thing.
Exactly. Well, she has that effect even on video, and I absolutely encourage everybody to go and watch her videos. Louise, it's a pleasure to talk to you and enjoy your mass marathon. We'll get in touch with you again later. That's the wonderful Louise Coughlin and her granny Nancy. It's 8 o'clock. It's BBC Radio Ulster, and on BBC Sounds, this is Good Morning Ulster with Chris Buckler and Sarah Brett.
Today's top story: hospitals warn they could face double the number of COVID patients in the weeks ahead.
Last night there were appeals for off-duty doctors and nurses to head into hospitals. We're going to hear from the head of one of our health trusts.
And can you believe it has been a year since this?
This deal means that the Assembly here can get back up and running.
12 months ago today, Arlene Foster and Michelle O'Neill were sworn in as First and Deputy First Ministers. We'll be speaking to them both about how the first year has gone.
And that argument over the transfer test is still rumbling on. We'll be hearing from one school principal whose school is intending to go ahead with the test next month.
It's Monday the 11th of January, and with the BBC News, here's Tina Campbell.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning. The past 48 hours have been among the busiest for health trusts since the start of the pandemic.
All right, it's good to talk to you, Patrick. Thank you very much indeed. That's Patrick Allen, who is the headmaster of Foyle College in Londonderry.
It's 8:34. Arlene Foster and Michelle O'Neill both coming up in the next half hour. But first, let's get a summary of the news. Here's Tina.
Good morning. The past 48 hours have been among the busiest for health trusts since the start of the pandemic.
That was Ciara Fitzpatrick there with her thought for the day, bringing us up to 8 o'clock. Plenty more to come on the programme. Do stay with us until then.
93.1 FM, 792 medium wave and online. BBC Radio Foyle.
It's 8 o'clock. Good morning. Welcome to The Breakfast Show on Monday the 11th of January with Richard O'Reilly.
And David Hunter. Good morning. The headlines: Northern Ireland's health trusts warn that under pressure hospitals could be dealing with double the number of COVID patients by next week. We'll hear from the Chief Executive of the Western Trust this morning, following an appeal last night for additional staff to cope with demand. And the government is facing a new call to release a report on compensation for IRA victims killed and injured by weapons supplied by Libya.
I'm Eric White with the sport. League 2 Crawley Town and non-league Chorley will be in tonight's FA Cup fourth round draw after weekend cup shocks. And Celtic host Hibs in the Scottish Premiership tonight, trailing leaders Rangers by 22 points.
Also this morning,
this deal means that the Assembly here can get back up and running tomorrow. I believe that there is something in this new deal for everyone.
Yes, 1 year on since power sharing was restored in Northern Ireland after a 3-year stalemate. This morning we're going to look at what's changed. BBC Radio Foyle, online, digital, FM and BBC Sounds. Jerry Bradley has the news.
The past 48 hours have been among the busiest for health trusts since the start of the coronavirus pandemic.
Between now and 9 o'clock, we're going to have much more on the pressures facing the health service. We're going to hear from the Chief Executive of the Western Trust. Short in sport as well, more on a famous day for Crawley Town in the FA Cup as Rangers go 22 points clear in Scotland. Let's get a summary of the news first, though, with Jerry Bradley.
Northern Ireland's 6 health trusts have warned that by next week, hospitals could be dealing with double the number of coronavirus patients.
Maureen 1182122.
Calls cost $2.50 per call plus 75p a minute with a minimum 1 minute charge plus your phone company's access charge.
On the free Absolute Radio app, on digital radio, or ask your smart speaker to play Absolute Radio.
Injections are underway at the first of 7 mass coronavirus vaccination centres opening this morning in England. They're based in Bristol, Surrey, London, Newcastle, Manchester, Hertfordshire and Birmingham.
Visit Indeed.com/try today and start finding your next great employee. That's Indeed.com/try today.
On the free Absolute Radio app, on digital radio, or ask your smart speaker to play Absolute 80s.
I'm Katie White. We're being urged to stick to coronavirus lockdown rules, with reports ministers are considering tightening them further across England. The government insists the measures aimed at tackling rising infections are not boundaries to be pushed against. Health Minister Nadeem Zawi's admitted there are...
Maureen 118212.
Calls cost $2.50 per call plus 75p a minute with a minimum 1 minute charge plus your phone company's access charge.
On the free Absolute Radio app, on digital radio, or ask your smart speaker to play Absolute Classic Rock.
Injections are underway at the first of 7 mass coronavirus vaccination centres opening this morning in England. They're based in Bristol, Surrey, London, Newcastle, Manchester, Hertfordshire and Birmingham.
Exclusions apply. Verify at eurospyni.co.uk.
Northern Ireland's #1 for music.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Chloe St John. First, a warning that Northern Ireland's hospitals are facing into an abyss as top health officials predict the number of COVID patients will double by next week.
New customers, CPI plus 3.9% increase each March, $32.99 for month 25. Offer ends 21st of January. Terms apply.
Play Country Hits Radio
on your smart speaker, mobile and your radio.
From the Hits Radio Network.
This is Country Hits Radio.
Hundreds of thousands of people are being invited to sign up for jabs at 7 new mass vaccination centres in England.
Doors. Get a free quote today at McElhattons.com.
On digital, online and on your smartphone. Downtown Country.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Chloe St John. People are going to start receiving the Oxford coronavirus vaccine today.
Visit Dixon-insurance.com.
The home of great music.
Ask your smart speaker to play Downtown Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Chloe St John. Hospitals beyond capacity, ambulances diverted and healthcare workers facing 24-hour shifts. That's what happened last night as Northern Ireland's hospitals struggled to cope with the COVID crisis.
Stay home. Protect the NHS. Save lives.
Play Gem
on your smart speaker, mobile
and your radio.
Across the East Midlands.
This is
Gem.
Its claimed lockdown rules could be tightened even further.
On Gem. Good morning, 7:30. Get the latest news headlines with Katie.
Ministers are considering tightening lockdown restrictions as record numbers of people are treated for coronavirus in hospital.
Offer ends 21st of January. Terms apply.
Play
Greatest Hits Radio
on 102 and 107.4 FM, on digital radio, on the app and on your smart speaker. Across North Derbyshire.
This is Greatest Hits Radio.
An author from Chesterfield says she's had nightmares after seeing her own face used on fake explicit pictures online.
There you have it. Call me now for your chance to win. Earth, Wind and Fire Hall and Oates on the way. Right now, at a fastly approaching 7:30, it's time for your Monday morning headlines.
A woman from Chesterfield's campaigning for a change to the law after pictures of her were superimposed onto explicit images online.
Online, on your phone, on your smart speaker, this is Heat Radio.
Hundreds of thousands of people are being invited to sign up for jabs at 7 new mass vaccination centres in England.
QuickBooks.co.uk.
Taking care of taxes. Have your self-assessment. Into it, QuickBooks.
With the world's greatest jazz, soul and blues, online, on app, on digital radio and on your smart speaker. This is Jazz FM. Listen in colour.
Good morning, 7 o'clock on Monday, the 11th of January. This is Jazz FM Breakfast with Nigel Williams. The news is read by Aileen O'Sullivan.
7 mass coronavirus vaccination centres are opening up across England today, meaning thousands more people will get their jab this week.
Playing on Jazz FM Breakfast, it's exactly 7:30. Monday the 11th, these are the top stories. 7 mass coronavirus vaccination centres are opening across England today, meaning thousands more people will be getting their vaccinations this week.
New customers, CPI plus 3.9% increase each March. $32.99 from month 25. Offer ends 21st of January. Terms apply.
Nationwide on Freeview, on your mobile, on your smart speaker, and at KerrangRadio.co.uk.
This is Kerrang Radio.
The latest this hour, mass coronavirus vaccinations can ramp up today as 7 new centres open, able to give out 4 injections a minute.
Experian account linked to your current account is required. Score increase subject to status.
On FM.
On digital radio.
On your mobile and here.
Play Links FM.
Across Lincolnshire and Newark. Links FM.
Lincolnshire Police say they're investigating a rise in cases involving indecent images, with children as young as 11 sharing explicit photos of themselves and others.
New customers, CPI plus 3.9% increase each March. $32.99 from month 25. Offer ends 21st of January. Terms apply.
Good morning, everybody. It is Magic Breakfast. It's Monday morning.
On digital radio, on the Magic Radio app, online and on your smart speaker.
Play Magic Radio.
The top stories this morning. Ministers are considering tightening England's lockdown restrictions as record numbers of people are treated for coronavirus in our hospitals.
Experian account linked to your current account is required. Score increase subject to status.
Across the UK on DAB digital radio, online at mellowmagic.co.uk, on the free Magic Radio app and on your smart speaker.
Play Mellow Magic.
The top stories at 9 o'clock. Good morning, I'm Fran Godfrey. Mass coronavirus vaccination centres in England are opening their doors, allowing thousands more people to get a jab this week.
New customers, CPI plus 3.9% increase each March. $32.99 from month 25. Offer ends 21st of January. Terms apply.
On FM.
On digital radio.
On your mobile and here.
Play Pirate FM.
This is the station that loves Cornwall. Pirate FM.
The Health Secretary is warning that being flexible with coronavirus lockdown rules could be fatal as hospital admissions soar.
Cornwall's Pirate FM, this is Neil and Lucy at Breakfast Morning.
Good morning.
Still sounding great, Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande. It's now 8:30 with the news headlines. Here's Helen.
Ministers are said to be considering tightening lockdown rules in England as hospitals struggle to cope with COVID cases.
New customers, CPI plus 3.9% increase each March. $32.99 from month 25. Offer ends 21st of January. Terms apply.
From the four corners of our planet, Planet Rock News.
The latest this hour, mass coronavirus vaccinations can ramp up today as 7 new centres open, able to give out 4 injections a minute.
New customers, CPI plus 3.9% increase each March. $32.99 from month 25. Offer ends 21st of January. Terms apply.
On DAB digital radio.
Online.
On the app.
On Sky.
And on your smart speaker.
This is Scala Radio News.
The latest this hour, mass coronavirus vaccinations can ramp up today as 7 new centres open, able to give out 4 injections a minute.
That is called Misiriu and played by the Ayub Sisters with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. On Scala Radio at 7:30. Question of the day, Mark 1 today. I sound like one letter, but I'm written with 3. I'll show you the world when you look through me. What am I? 64100, the text number, starting with Scala, by email charles@scalaradio.co.uk. Quick check on the headlines this morning. 7 mass coronavirus vaccination centres are opening across England today, meaning thousands more people will get their jab this week.
Stay home. Protect the NHS. Save lives.
On FM, digital radio, and on your mobile. The South's biggest radio station. Wave 105.
Good morning to you. Exactly a week after Boris Johnson announced England's national lockdown, it's thought tougher measures could be on the cards.
Find out more and enter now at wave105.com.
7:30, it's Monday morning, 11th of January. Let's get the latest then from the newsroom. Michael's there for you.
Good morning to you. A health minister insists the government doesn't want to go tougher, despite reports stricter lockdown measures could be on the way.
customers. CPI plus 3.9% increase each March. $32.99 from month 25. Offer ends 21st of January. Terms apply.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play Capital.
This is Capital News.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Adam Barber. Massive new centres to get a COVID vaccine are opening across England this morning.
Visit quickbooks.co.uk.
Taking care of taxes, your self-assessment, into it QuickBooks.
talkRADIO, our Global Player,
Play Capital.
Dyma Capital, newyddion.
O stafell newyddion global am saith fe fydd y gweinidog iechyd yn coeddi cynllun brachu Covid Llywodraeth Cymru heddiw.
Amazon. Low prices anytime, anywhere.
On your radio.
On Global Player.
And here.
Play Capital Extra.
This is Capital Extra.
News.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Adam Barber. 7 massive coronavirus vaccination centres are opening across England today.
On your radio.
On Global Player.
And here.
Play Capital Extra. Reloaded.
This is Capital Extra. Reloaded.
News.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Adam Barber. A government minister has told us England's coronavirus lockdown is tough and officials don't want to be making it any tougher.
For available tax products, visit quickbooks.co.uk.
Taking care of taxes, your self-assessment, into it QuickBooks.
On your radio.
On Global Player.
And on your smart speaker.
Play Classic FM.
This is Classic FM.
From Global's newsroom at 7 o'clock, thousands more people are expected to be given a coronavirus vaccine as 7 mass vaccination centres open across England.
For available tax products, visit quickbooks.co.uk.
Taking care of taxes, your self-assessment, into it QuickBooks.
On digital radio, on Global Player, and Play Gold Radio, playing the greatest hits of all time.
This is Gold
News.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Holly Harris. The first 7 NHS mass vaccination centres are opening across England.
For available tax products, visit quickbooks.co.uk.
Taking care of taxes, your self-assessment, into it QuickBooks.
On your radio, on Global Player, and here.
Play Heart.
This is Heart. It's coming up to 7 o'clock. Here's the latest.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Amy Stubbs. Thousands more people are expected to get the coronavirus jab as 7 new mass vaccination sites are opening in England.
Winning keeps coming here on Heart Breakfast. Wake up and win after the news headlines. At 7:30, here's the latest.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Amy Stubbs. The first 7 NHS mass vaccination centres are opening across England.
On your radio, on Global Player, and here.
Play Heart 70s.
This is Heart 70s.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Amy Stubbs. Thousands more people are expected to get the coronavirus jab as 7 new mass vaccination sites are opening in England.
On your radio, on Global Player, and here.
Play Heart 80s.
This is Heart 80s.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Amy Stubbs. Thousands more people are expected to get the coronavirus jab as 7 new mass vaccination sites are opening in England.
On your radio, on Global Player, and here.
Play Heart 90s.
This is Heart 90s.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Amy Stubbs. Thousands more people are expected to get the coronavirus jab as 7 new mass vaccination sites are opening in England.
On Heart Dance next, it's 8 o'clock.
On your radio, on Global Player, and here.
Play Heart Dance.
This is Heart Dance.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Amy Stubbs. 7 coronavirus vaccination centres are opening across England this morning.
Conversation continues. Coming up after the news, a suggestion that teachers should go to the front of the queue, obviously to allow the schools to reopen as and when the country can. Plus the care home crisis, despite promises 1 in 10 vulnerable residents given the COVID vaccine. Vaccine Minister Nadim Zahawi.
All care home residents and care home staff will be vaccinated by latest mid-February. Latest.
Plus, we start my life in lockdown with a guide, as much of the nation struggles. You may be one of them. How to get a decent night's, or in some instances, days' sleep. It's later in the hour.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 9 o'clock, England's coronavirus lockdown could reportedly be tightened over concerns the restrictions don't go far enough to tackle rising infection rates. The Daily Telegraph says the exemption...
Yes, so that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, the former governor of California, Republican governor indeed, likening those riots last week to the Kristallnacht of 1938. We'll have a report on that and what it means for Donald Trump and this possible impeachment after this. 7:30, this is Breakfast with me, Nick Ferrari, here on LBC News Time. Then Simon Conway.
The NHS is opening 7 mass vaccination centres across England as part of the efforts to accelerate the rollout of coronavirus vaccines.
Retail sales of new cars at participating retailers only. T's and C's apply.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC News.
where the news never stops. This is LBC News.
From Global's newsroom, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Sandy Ward. Good morning. Here's the latest. People without coronavirus symptoms will be targeted for testing across England as the vaccination push ramps up in the country this week. Quick turnaround tests will be given to every local authority. Government sources suggest breaches of COVID-19 rules in England will result in more fines being issued. The Home Secretary warning strong enforcement is needed by police after coronavirus-related deaths in the UK passed 80,000. Officials in Indonesia say human remains have been found off the coast of the capital, Jakarta, following yesterday's plane crash. The aircraft thought to have had 62 people on board. It disappeared from radar minutes after takeoff. And coming up, non-league Chorley are into tomorrow's FA Cup fourth round draw for the first time. They knocked out Championship side Derby 2-0.
LBC News. Weather.
Cloudy in the south with some sun for central parts and rain further north, a high of 7 degrees. I'm Holly Jones. I've got a full forecast in the next 15 minutes.
LBC News. Travel.
In Berkshire, the M4 is closed in both directions between junctions 12 at Thiel and 10 at the A329M, and that's because of the weekend roadworks. In Suffolk, in Newmarket, the A142, which is the Fordham Road, is closed in both directions because the overnight roadworks are still taking place. In the West Midlands at Harborne Park Road stays closed southbound because of a burst water main, and also the problems in Derbyshire continue. The Woodhead Road is closed in both directions at Crowden, and that's because of the amount of snow. And on the trains, London Overground trains are running between Gospel Oak and Upper Holloway. I'm Joanne Webb. Your next update is in 10 minutes here on LBC News.
This is LBC News.
The government's confirmed access to rapid testing for people without coronavirus symptoms is to be expanded across England from this week.
Co-op, it's what we do. Selected products, see online or in-store for details. Participating stores subject to availability. Offer ends 19th of January.
The news in 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes. 24 hours a day. Where the news never stops. This is LBC News.
From Global's newsroom, it's 3:21. I'm John Stratford. Good afternoon. Here is the latest. The Home Secretary has defended the way police have handed out fines for lockdown breaches, warning that officers won't hesitate to take action. Priti Patel says the increasing number of new COVID-19 cases proves there's a need for strong enforcement in incidents where people are clearly breaking the rules. The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, says the UK is on course to hit its target of vaccinating 2 million people a week against COVID-19. He hopes that every adult in the UK can be offered a vaccine by the autumn. Labour is calling on the Chancellor to protect families hit by the pandemic and scrap plans to raise council tax this spring. Local authorities in England will be able to raise council tax by up to 5% from April. And League Two side Crawley have just caused a shock in the third round of the FA Cup. They have beaten Premier League team Leeds 3-0.
LBC News. Weather.
Frost and fog in the south tonight, scattered showers in the west and turning unsettled tomorrow. I'm Lucinda Horsley. I've got a full forecast in the next 15 minutes.
LBC News. Travel.
In Berkshire, the M4 remains closed in both directions and will do until the early hours of tomorrow morning for repair work. That's from Junction 12 for Foyle to Junction 10 for Wokingham and Bracknell. Your diversion route will take you through Reading. The M20 eastbound in Kent, restrictions remain in place from Junction 8 for Leeds Castle to Junction 9 for Ashford. Near Hyde Park, the Piccadilly underpass has been closed today in both directions for emergency repairs. And in Tyne Wear, the A1 Western Bypass northbound, an accident is blocking a lane on the entry slip road. That's at Junction 79 for Gosforth Park, causing a patchy delay. I'm Paula Brett. Your next update is in 10 minutes here on LBC News.
This is LBC News.
3:23 right now. Let's bring you up to date with the headlines this afternoon. The Home Secretary has defended the way that police have handed out fines for lockdown breaches, warning that officers won't hesitate to take action.
The self-assessment deadline is January 31st. Start yours today.
News, sport, travel, weather in 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes, where the news never stops. This is LBC News.
From Global's newsroom, it's 6:40 on Monday the 11th of January. I'm Lisa Aziz. Good morning. Here's the latest. Thousands of people will be invited for coronavirus jabs at 7 new mass vaccination centres which open today. The facilities in London, Birmingham, Bristol, Surrey, Newcastle, Manchester and Hertfordshire will have the capacity to give 4 injections a minute. Senior ministers have reportedly discussed tightening England's lockdown to try to improve compliance with the current rules. The Daily Telegraph says one consideration is to stop allowing people to exercise with one person from outside their household or support bubble. A record number of small firm owners are planning to close down over the coming year. The Federation of Small Businesses says about 1 in 20 companies surveyed are set to fold, which might equate to at least 250,000 across the UK. And the US House of Representatives is due to proceed with legislation to impeach President Trump just days before he leaves office. Speaker Nancy Pelosi says there's an immediate need for action, accusing Mr. Trump of encouraging last Wednesday's violence in Washington.
LBC News. Weather.
Rain for much of the UK today, heaviest in the northwest, and some snow in Scotland. I'm Adam Barber. I've got a full forecast coming up in the next 15 minutes.
LBC News. Travel.
In London on the A2, there are westbound queues from the Black Prince interchange to the Danson interchange at Bexley, where it's down to just the hard shoulder for roadworks. In Suffolk, the A142 is closed off the A14 at Newmarket for bridge maintenance work. In Pembrokeshire, Milford Road's closed each way between Haverfordwest and Milford Haven after an accident. In the West Midlands, Harborne Park Road is closed southwest of Birmingham because of a burst water main. And in South Yorkshire, Cemetery Road is closed at Wasbrook Common to the southeast of Barnsley, and that's also because of a burst water main. I am Russell Holding. Your next update is in 10 minutes here on LBC News.
This is LBC News.
LBC News Time, 6:42. Very good morning to you. In our top stories this Monday morning, thousands more people are being invited to get coronavirus jabs at 7 new mass vaccination sites opening in England today.
For available tax products, visit quickbooks.co.uk.
Taking care of taxes and your self-assessment into QuickBooks. On your radio, on Global Player, and here.
Play Radio X.
This is Radio X News.
So we're back. Oh yeah, we're back. It is Monday, the 11th of January, 2021. I am Chris. This is Radio X. Dominic Byrne has your news, sport and weather. It's 2 minutes past 7.
Global's newsroom. The first 7 NHS mass vaccination centres are opening across England.
For available tax products, visit quickbooks.co.uk.
Taking care of taxes and your self-assessment into QuickBooks.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play Smooth.
This is Smooth Radio.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Holly Harris. The first 7 NHS mass vaccination centres are opening across England.
Simple. Price and participation may vary. Terms apply. Free hot drink must be regular size. Ends 31st of December 2021.
Across the UK, online and on DAB+. The latest news from across the globe.
Unless more action is taken, we're going to see the NHS overwhelmed.
All the latest reaction, information and advice.
We are in a very, very serious position in terms of this virus relative to anything else that would normally spread.
Talk Radio.
On the hour headlines.
Good morning, I'm Ross Powell. On the way at 7, mass expansion of the government's vaccine programme, calls for an early release of exam results and plans to impeach Trump gather pace.
Talk Radio. News.
Thousands more people are being invited to be vaccinated at 7 new mass vaccination sites opening in England.
Benjamin Butterworth is going to return in just a few moments, and we're going to get the latest on sport as well. We're also going to be talking to the author of a book on a transgender craze seducing our daughters. That's Abigail Schreier in the United States. That's coming up after an update on the latest headlines with Ross Powell.
Talk Radio. Half-hour headlines.
7 mass coronavirus vaccination centres open their doors today with the ability to vaccinate 4 people every minute.
See boxed.co.uk/better for more details. The power to change the future is in your hands.
A very good morning. It is 6 o'clock. I'm Jenny Barsby. 7 vaccination sites begin injections today.
And COVID concerns across sport.
On DAB Digital Radio, online and on 1089 and 1053 AM.
The country now needs us to come together.
Talk Sport. Keep it on and stay informed.
I know how tough this is.
Talk Sport. Headline News.
7 mass COVID vaccination centres open their doors today with the ability to inject 4 people a minute.
Fail, learn, win. Find where you belong. Search army jobs.
Morning everyone, 6:30, it's Monday, January the 11th. Loads of big cup stories this weekend, cup sets, loads of cool stories to come out of the FA Cup third round. We're going to cover that next. Let's get your news and sport before we do that with Toby and Jenny.
7 centres are opening across England as part of the mass coronavirus vaccination programme. They should be able to inject 4 people a minute as part of government plans to have 15 million people in the UK vaccinated by mid-February.
And there's a question, isn't there, about what, if Twitter can ban Donald Trump, which they may well have very good reasons for, they can defend them, what will it do to everyone else on Twitter who commits terrible things to words, who encourages hate or in itself threatens people, which they intend to leave up for a very long time. So can they afford to regulate themselves to that level? I wonder. That's an interesting question that will be debated over the time to come. We're going to be talking to you this morning about vaccinations. Obviously, we're about to talk to Nadhim Zahawi, the vaccines minister, but really about our own behaviour. Are we changing how we act? And do we need police to do something more to stop us if we are breaking the rules? Shops told to get tough on the COVID rule breakers is the headline of the Times. What do you think? 87222. Start your message with the word Times or tweet us at Times Radio.
Across the UK, on DAB Digital Radio, on the free Times Radio app, and on your smart speaker, this is Times Radio. Know your times.
Good morning, it's 7 o'clock. This is Asma Mir and Stig Abel with Times Radio Breakfast.
The headlines today: 7 mass vaccination centres are opening in England, and Democrats try to force President Trump out of office just days before the end of his time in the White House.
Ahead, we'll hear from the government's vaccine minister on how he plans to get you a jab, and 20 things you can do to get through the latest lockdown.
It's Monday, the 11th of January.
This is Times Radio.
First, the news with Alex Dibble.
Asma, thank you. Good morning. The first 7 NHS mass vaccination centres are opening across England.
Do keep getting in touch. 87222. Start your message with the word Times. You can tweet us at Times Radio. It's 7:31. Let's get some of these headlines.
Across the UK, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker. This is Times Radio.
Good morning, I'm Alex Dibble. 7 mass vaccination centres are opening in England as part of a strategy to administer 2 million vaccines a week.
100 years before, well, 80 years before, 1750 odd, right? And the last surviving tortoise that he brought back is still alive. That's tortoises for you.
The Chris Evans Breakfast Show
that's incredible.
with Sky Q. Everything you love.
Think about what that tortoise has witnessed.
Easy.
It's 2 minutes past 7.
DAB Digital Radio, on the app and on your smart speaker. This is Virgin Radio News.
I'm Amelia Cox. Our top stories this morning. 7 mass coronavirus vaccination centres opening across England today will boost government plans to give out 2 million injections a week.
On air, online, on the app, on FM, and DAB Plus throughout the UK. This is BFBS. The Forces Station. Mass COVID vaccination centres open today.
The way out of the pandemic is through the vaccination programmes.
On air, online, on your phone and on site. This is Fix Radio.
Vaccinations against coronavirus are to be dramatically ramped up this week with the opening of 7 large vaccine hubs and hundreds of smaller GP-led centres across England.
Ask your smart speaker to play Gaydio. And you're on. Find out how else you can listen at gaydio.co.uk.
The beat of Gay UK.
This is Gaydio.
With the latest, I'm Matt Sims. Hundreds of thousands of people are being invited to sign up for jabs at 7 new mass vaccination centres in England.
For available tax products, visit quickbooks.co.uk.
Taking care of taxes and your self-assessment into it, QuickBooks.
Q Radio.
On FM, digital and online, this is Q Radio. It's just gone 7 o'clock, and with your latest news, here's Bob Huggins.
Good morning. Northern Ireland's health chiefs have warned the number of people with COVID-19 in hospital will double by the 3rd week of January compared to the current figures.